Someone left this review out in the rain. Hello, I am going to do a review of Shakespeare for Squirrels by Christopher Moore, a 2020 novel by the often wacky, always bawdy, um, slightly, slightly silly Christopher Moore. Um, I'm doing this in the dark because I finished the book, and I would just do a kind of a I would talk about the last little section of it, but I don't really have a ton to say, so I think I will just go on, jump right into a review of this novel. So Christopher Moore, best known for his sort of supernatural contemporary comedic fiction. A lot of them all in sort of the same general world. Characters kind of jump from one to another. This is sort of a different thing for him. He does his Shakespeare books, starting with Fool, then The Serpent of Venice, and now Shakespeare for Squirrels. He takes kind of kind of rough cuts of Shakespeare, and does comedic novels around them. Fool, the first one, introduced us to Pocket the Fool, in sort of a very kind of recognizably kind of King Learish kind of thing. Sort of like it's like if you'd overheard Shakespeare in a bar and then made up a story from it. Actually, I think Christopher Moore is much more of a Shakespeare geek than I am, but it's just like you get a little sloshed and you make up a story, and you really go in for the dirty bits. And indeed, in that novel, Pocket ended up as king. In the second one, he ends up in Venice, in a very kind of Othello thing. But there's also a sea serpent in that one, a magical sea serpent. So we definitely have the magical things. I mean, there's magical stuff in Shakespeare, but there's also magical stuff a lot of times in Christopher Moore. And then in this one, he's gone off with, I think it's the pirate Jenny, but she either doesn't make it, or I can't remember what. And then the pirates get tired of him and cast him overboard. So he washes up in 14th century Greece, and finds a lot of fairies and lovers wandering lost in the woods, and Queen Hippolyta, the queen of the Amazons, taken captive by King Theseus, who wants to marry her. So you might go, we've got the Midsummer Night's Dream, except in this one, Puck has been killed. And it's a bit of a murder mystery that way. And Pocket gets hired by both Hippolyta and Theseus, who are both kind of rotten bastards, and ruthless bastards at that, to figure out who killed Puck, and to also perhaps get what the King Theseus had sent Puck to get. And indeed, yes, the lovers are in the forest, and they've been bewitched because Puck had given them a love potion. But Puck has been shot through the heart with a crossbow bolt, and Pocket at first gets nabbed for it, but he gets out of that and gets sent to try and figure things out. This one is far more interested, though, not in the lovers, it's like Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead in that way. It's not about the lovers. It's not about the king and the queen. It's about the humble mechanics, the bottom, the weaver, the all the other dolts in this story, and it's about the fairies, the cobweb and stuff like that, who are these little fairies who are very raunchy, very horny, very shagging everything, and might turn into woodland creatures. You never know. And it's much more about that, and much more about kind of the underclass, making sure that they're okay, which I think I do appreciate in Christopher Moore. Now, the story itself, I mean, Pocket is sort of the detective. He doesn't really have an emotional catch there. I mean, he develops emotions towards some of the one of the fairies, Cobweb, but Cobweb herself doesn't seem to be in any danger. So it's one of these things where it was a light, amusing, funny story with much fuck stockings and shagging and Bottom the Weaver has an enormous donkey cock. So if those things are going to offend you, then ugh, if these spirits have offend, just remember just a dream, and you'll wake up in the morning and everything will be okay. So yeah, I guess that's my review. Amusing, fun, kind of light and substantial. You'll wake up the next morning and probably not remember too many of the details. That's good that I'm talking about it now. Yeah, a fun kind of light romp. Actually, I do think that this play, using Midsummer Night's Dream, it really does fit Chrstphr More, his general tone and stuff. I watched Midsummer Night's Dream performed in a coffee bar, and done by kind of young people who were just being all raunchy and silly, and in some ways that really, I felt like that was like, oh, this is the play. This is perfect kind of capturing of the spirit of the play versus highfalutin, great acting kind of things. Like, no, let's put on a play because, if it had been in a bar, it would have been even that much better. But I think that actually fits Chrstphr more better than doing kind of a King Lear or doing Othello, where, I mean, in those he was just trying to undercut. Though with Shakespeare, things like Shakespeare earns that stuff. So trying to kind of make fun of Shakespeare for stuff like that, where he's got his own kind of japes in there himself, not so much. But Midsummer Night's Dream, I feel like that really they do join together to make a delightful entertainment that you don't take too seriously and you laugh at the raunchy bits, or at least I did. So, yeah, that's my review of Shkspr for Sqrrls by Chrstphr More. More videos later.